Hey guys, welcome back. So let's continue here. We did save information last time in our database, and so I want us to be able to load that data when we click here, right? So of course, remember that you can get the source code from my website here on the downloads section here. All right, so while you are here, click a few ads, of course, as the tradition is. Or you can support me on Patreon if you have the capacity to do so. All right, so thanks to everybody doing that. Let's get back to business. So we have the files in the database, but we don't have them here. So what we need to do is, when we are loading this page here, so there's a loop that loads this page. So it will write section 1, section 2, but then on each part here, it's going to put this lecture section. So right here is where we need to find that data as well and then add it. So what we need to do is change how we read data from the database. So here to read data, so I'm in the courses view file here in the admin section. This is the curriculum object. And here is where we add the lecture section, and this is the div that will contain the lecture inputs. So it's got this ID right there, so we need to take note of that. And this is how we actually add. But there's how we add things in here one by one. But there's the add inputs or load inputs function in the lectures object. That's the one that loads all of them here that are needed. So we need to capture that. But first we need to have the information read so that we can use it. So if I go to my table here and we see the courses lectures table, this is what it is. So here we have a UID and this information here. So all we need to do is find rows in here that have the same UID that the section has. So we can read via UID. So let's go to the part that reads the information. So I'm going to go to controllers, and where is this section? That's admin. So courses, and this is the, edit. I'm looking for the read section, which is this one right there. So if it's read, no, this is not the part. Okay, so it's the get meta that I want to find. So get metadata for the inputs on the tab. So we have this. So right here where we grab the rows, okay? Info data is equal to rows. But what I want to do is go through each row and let's see here, courses meta, right? So I want to grab each of these rows and get its UID and use that to get the correct lectures for that part. So what I would do is this, I'll copy that. And let's make a loop. We're going to say for each loop like so, rows, as we're going to need that key, and this value is course meta row, like so. All right. So right in here, I want us to read information. Now we can easily use one of these models. If we made one specifically for, we did make one specifically for that. So where is that model? This is the course lecture model. So I want to create a new one. So we shouldn't instantiate things inside loops. We do it outside. So I'll say course lecture is equal to new course lecture, like that. Okay, and then from there I want us to read where So we'll say I'll just call this one rows 2. Maybe let's call it raw lectures is equal to course lecture, and then we get where. So we're going to use the UID and point it to whatever UID is in the current row here. So we'll do this and say UID like that. Okay, so we're supplying that UID. Whatever comes of this will be good. Now if we do as we are looping through this, if we do find that there is a result, then we add it to the current rows. So if there's a result, I'm going to say rows with the current key. So I'm just going to make sure that we are not in another loop right now that uses key. Maybe we could be. So let me just change what key is here. So I'll just call it a key like that, just to make it special or different, just in case, to avoid overriding another key, because we use that a lot. So I'm going to say this is equal to the raw lectures like that. So that should add extra information to this. Now this key, we don't want to replace it. Actually, we want to create a new column in there, or a new array in there called how do we call it? Lectures. We just call it lectures like that. Okay, very good. Very, very good. So once we have this, this should do the trick. So let's make sure that we haven't queued anything yet. So I'm going to go back here. Okay, and then okay, so there's a problem here. Control course lecture not found. I guess because I didn't add model at the beginning like that. So let's add that here. Let's try this again. Okay, so things seem to be fine. So if things are fine now, we're going to just check to see if lectures is in existence in every row we load, and then we load it here. So right about here, once we get to this point within the loop, right? Okay, so add new is just for one item. So once we reach the end here, add lecture inputs with data if available. So at this point, I just want to call lecture add new, but instead of add new, which adds just a single item, I'm going to call the load inputs, which gets some data like this. Now the thing is, once I put the data, this one is going to call the add new function, and then I just want to know what wait a minute, no, okay, we're on the lecture here. I want to know where section comes from, because that's what calls. Oh, add new section. Great. Let's go to the inputs here. So inputs has data, but where does section come from? Add new JS lecture. Is that the section? Okay, so it seems load inputs doesn't work yet. So I think this is one thing I forgot. We need a way to identify where to add this. JS lecture. That's the section. Add new. Okay, let me come back here to add new itself. There's a section, obj. So the section is put here, but there should be an extra ID here. That extra ID is exactly this one here, right there. So in order to load inputs, we need to be able to add one extra thing here. So there's data here, but I think I should supply one more item, which is the section. Add new. Okay, on the lecture side, sorry. So the section already exists here, but the problem is that section is just JS lecture, which is not right. Okay, so what I would do is I'm going to add an extra input here for identification. There's lecture, item to drag, etc. But I'll call this one curriculum ID. I see, like that. Then let's just leave that as an empty, like so, and I'll put a comma. Okay, let me come back here up. I want to see when we click a button, you see this here. It's not just JS lecture, but there's this part right here, curriculum input count. Okay, I see. So it's just the input count here of the curriculum that matters. Okay. So that's the number that I think we need. So what I'm going to do is, when we want to add an input here, we should also send that as well. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to say lecture, which is this object down here, this one. So I want to set the curriculum ID. So for here, I'm going to just put 0 for now. And then this curriculum ID, I can grab it and use it here when adding inputs as part of the section. So let's go down to find add inputs, which is right here. So when we are trying to add an input right here, so I'm just going to concatenate that. I'll do that and put a dash like so, and then put a plus and say curriculum ID, but we need to say lecture.curriculum ID like so. I think this is how it should be. If it doesn't work, we can always redo it. All right, good. I think this should work. And let's see, lecture, value, UUID. I'll check these later, but for now, yep. For now, let's see how that will work. So let me go up again to this section. When we say add new here, we have a placeholder that says enter lecture title. So what I want is to copy this object here. That way I can try and match it with the other data. So come back to the lecture object. Where is this? Add new, no, not here. We go to the load inputs right here. So I will put that here just temporal. So the title should be enter lecture title, not this one. And this one here, that's a placeholder. So we've sorted placeholder. Then there's name, which should be lecture, so that's correct. So let's remove that. There should be UID. Here, this one won't have a UID. This one should have a UID, which is object UID, so that's correct. And then there should be an index, Wait a minute. Okay, so that is the curriculum ID. So that's the index right there. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this and then put index here. And then it's going to be curriculum. This one right here, curriculum ID. So lecture.curriculum ID. That's what I should add. And that should be it. That covers the object. So right here, index will be equal to this same object, lecture.curriculum ID, like that. Anyway, so if I've missed something, obviously it will tell us this there. Okay, great. Now all I need to do is go back to the curriculum object that creates that section right here. And right about there, we call that function lecture.load inputs, like that. And then load inputs needs two things, a section number. Actually, let's set the curriculum ID while we're still here is equal to, and then we set it to this value right there. I'm just gonna do this. And then load inputs, then we put data. Now the data here should be from this object right there. So since we loaded it as in the admin section as lectures column right there, so I'm just going to put that there like so. Now we should only do this if it's actually an object. So say if type of obj dot obj.lectures is equal to object. So if it's an actual object, then load the inputs with this same object there. So hopefully I haven't missed anything. Let me try this. Okay, didn't seem to work at all. So we just have to go through and see what didn't work. So there's all this data, course ID, but is there lectures column in any of these guys? Doesn't seem like. So let me close all console.log references here. Let me just search for console.log and mute that. I'll copy it first. Then I want to go back to the curriculum object, which is by intended learners, curriculum right there. Right here we have added the new code. So let me remove that so that I can see any errors, if any. I'll refresh. Oh, I didn't refresh the page. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Did I? Maybe I didn't. Okay, so first of all, I want to know that we got here. So I'm just going to do alert, or let's use console.log. I'm going to say console.log object, just to see what it contains, right? So I'll refresh. So it does contain some stuff. So placeholder, UUID, and this is not the information I wanted because .lectures is not a thing. So I'm just loading the wrong thing. So let's see, where does the data come from? I want to see where the data is from. It should be from object, right? Oh no, it's not from there. Okay, I see where the problem is. The problem is when we are loading these files, we are loading them from, we're using load inputs. This is the one that contains the actual data, and this is what I wanted, actual data. So if I say load inputs, I should provide some actual data. So the question is, how do I get this data? I could pass it through here. Load inputs. Interesting. Okay. So the data comes in through here. So what I'll do is, I want to check right here if okay, let me send it right here. I'll just say data is, data like that, and then put data like so. Now instead of sending all the data, I just want this current loop through the data. So there's data I actually. So I'll do data I and check if the lectures exists. So it's possible this may not exist. So that's why I should put an if statement first. Or I'll do this lectures I, or let's just put false like that. Hopefully, if this does not exist, then maybe it will do that. And then let me just see if it doesn't cause an error yet. Okay, so no errors yet. That's good. Now that we are supplying that data, let's go to the same one here. So now the data is coming in through the object. So we'll say object.data and see what kind of data is in there. So I'll refresh. Okay, so it is bringing in the lectures data. As you can see there, lecture description, blah blah blah. So this is cool. So what I'm going to do is just use that inside here like that. Okay, and let's put that if statement already. Like so. I think this should solve the problem. So let's refresh. Okay, nothing is happening. Let me remove that if statement. So we force something to happen, still nothing. All right, so that's not where the problem is. What is the problem? So we try the load inputs here. We go step by step. So lecture load inputs. Let's see what we are getting. So load inputs, we're getting data from there. And if it's 0, it's not, which means here we should be able to see this happen here. So we'll put an alert just to show us that things are getting to that point, and they are. So which is nice. So if they are getting here, what really is the problem? Okay. Data I. Wait a minute. Load inputs data. Right. Okay, this is confusing me a little bit now, because I don't know what kind of data I should be receiving here. It should have a data type of curriculum, right? Data I value, data I. This all looks legit, but right, I see. Okay, one more thing I'm missing here. Wait a minute, load input data. Oh, so this is where this is created from. So all this should be fine. So what's going on then? Let me move the alert to here. Everything looks okay. Yeah, so it's working as it should. So there are two that are supposed to be there. So why am I not seeing anything here then? Ah, right. The JS curriculum could not be found, I think. Okay. So I think I put things in the wrong place. Oh, this is the curriculum part, right? I'm looking at the wrong place. So I should be looking down here in the lecture section. Where is the add new? Add new is right there. Lecture add new and lecture load inputs right here. So this is the place. So let me see if we are getting to this point at least. So refresh. Yes, we are. That is good. Twice, that's great. Then let's go down again to this point. Are we getting to this point though? Until we find where we are not getting through. And so we are not getting through to that point. But here, maybe we are. So let me refresh. Yes, 2 times, 3 times. Good. Okay, so that's promising. So the only part we are struggling with is here. Data type is equal to lecture. So this should be contained in here as data type. So let me come back here and see. There is data type here. It's get meta, not lecture. Okay. So maybe I put this in the wrong place. Is there one that says lecture? Come on, come on, come on. Nope, there is not. Okay, cool. So now I know it's this if statement that is causing problems. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the data type right on the fly. So let's go back to the curriculum section here, which is right here. So once we grab this object.data, let me alert myself to object.type data type. Let's see what it says. So I'm going to refresh again. So that's undefined completely. Okay. So then let's create it, I guess. So say data object. Let's do this here. I'm going to say obj.dataType is equal to lecture, just so it can go through on the other side. Let's see if that works on that if statement. Oh boy. Things don't seem to be working. Load inputs. Okay, let's take a pause here and try to fix the problem in the next video.